Hey guys, Firdaus here. Today I want to share a bit about some of the things I faced when I started the business a couple of years ago from a financial point of view. Right, so to start things off, there are typically two ways to start a business. First way is to bootstrap it, self-fund it, where you are basically gathering all your funds, any money that you can gather to set up this enterprise. The second way, and a lot of people are doing this nowadays, is to get your business funded. You go out there and raise capital. Typically, in the first round, you go around getting it from angel investors or people who are believers in your dream and vision. Your three F's, right? Your friends, family, and fools. So this is interesting that startup money is very expensive because people who want to pay or invest in you would expect a lot of returns, but you are just selling them on a dream, at least to begin with, right? We're not talking about the later rounds of funding, but just initially you're just selling them on a dream. So I personally chose the bootstrap. Basically, I funded the startup myself. We had 2 employees right from day one. We had to get an office, we had to get a couple of computers in, software needs to be paid for because we want to be legit. So there's definitely some capital expenses. So yeah, at this point, 2 types of expenses that you need to be aware of when you're starting out a business. Number one is capital expenses. So this is money that you need to spend, and it's a one-time expense. For example, you need to pay down payment for the office. You can also consider things like your Macs, your computers, your equipment that you're going to use over the months or the coming months and years. Those are single one-time expenses. On the other hand, you have the monthly recurring ones. So things like payroll, CPF, rent, internet. So things that you pay on a monthly basis. A lot of the software has gone into monthly recurring as well. So we got this software as a service model. Kind of makes it easy, right? It's more predictable in terms of cash flow. You want to be careful that initially when you're starting up, there's going to be a lot of capital expense, or ideally you might want to stagger those out depending on how well you're doing in terms of cash flow. But there will be some initial capital expenses. So for my case, for Neu Entity, we were set up in a very small office. It was an office for 1 person, but we squeezed, like, there are 3 people sitting in that office, sharing 2 desks. So you can imagine how tight it was. We're paying like $700 per month for that little room. There were no windows and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it was a tough start, but I think in hindsight, the choices that I made financially pretty much make sense. If we were to indulge ourselves in a grander office, looking amazing, especially when we were just not only starting up, but validating the market, testing the market, you want to keep costs as low as possible when you are trying to figure out your brand, your business model. And I'm learning as I go, right? This isn't something that I strategize and have it in a solid manual and then go to market with it. Everything I did back then was trial and error, and I had to learn by doing. And granted, there's a lot of people who has helped me along the way, who has given me very sound advice, but there's a lot of difficulties that we faced in making day-to-day decisions and strategic long-term decisions. So yeah, knowing the difference between capital and monthly expense is very useful because you want to then determine like what is your burn rate, right? Considering that if you don't do any more capital expenses, every month you are going to be spending X amount of dollars, and therefore you map that against the money in the bank and you will get your runway. And this is the one figure that you should always have in your mind, knowing how long the business has in terms of your runway. When I was starting up, we had enough capital to last us 3 months, right? And that was without me paying myself. Which brings me to the last point. You might want to consider paying yourself from the start, right? It wasn't necessarily a mistake that I didn't pay myself for the first 6 months when the business started, but that's just purely my own risk aversion, that I just want to bring costs really low, as low as possible, without jeopardizing the business. So I had coffee with another agency owner. We used to work together on a bigger project in my previous job, and his advice was, no, you should pay yourself. Like, even when you're starting out, just drop 2K a month at least, right? Just get used to the idea of paying yourself, because when you're starting out and it's all your own business, every dollar that you put out there, that you pay people, feels like taking something out from your own pool of money. It feels like it's all your own money, but you should try to change that mindset. It's not. It's basically money that belongs to the business. So out of the business, you should take out a bit to pay yourself. That then becomes your money. So his advice to me was, just pay yourself, not too exuberantly, but enough to make ends meet. You can always review. I mean, if it's your own business, you can always review your own salary or director fees down the road. Those are some 3 things that I want to share when I'm starting out the business from a financial point of view. So I hope this content kind of helps you. If you're starting up a business, if you're starting an agency or some sort, creative business, I hope this helps, and I would love to hear from you. I would appreciate if you can subscribe, like this video, and so on. I'll see you on the next one.